Dust motes dance in the desert sun, not just around ancient monuments, but from them. Hear that faint whisper? It's not the wind. It's the sound of history crumbling. Right now, as you watch, irreplaceable pieces of our shared human story, entire civilizations etched into stone, earth, and wood, are being swiftly and silently erased. This isn't the slow, graceful decay of millennia. This is an accelerating catastrophe. For eons, natural erosion has sculpted landscapes, weathering wonders like the Sphinx or the Mayan pyramids. But what we witness today is fundamentally different. A relentless, often unseen force, amplified by human activity and a rapidly changing climate, is attacking ancient sites with unprecedented speed and scale. Rising sea levels lap at coastal ruins, acid rain eats away at delicate frescoes, deforestation destabilizes archaeological mounds, and mass tourism, ironically, sometimes compacts the very ground it seeks to admire. From the sun-baked deserts of Jordan to the rain-soaked jungles of Mesoamerica, from the melting permafrost of Siberia to the polluted skies above Europe's industrial heartlands, the story is the same. Our ancient past is under siege. In Vanishing Legacies, we embark on a global journey to witness this crisis firsthand. We'll explore the precise mechanisms of modern erosion, uncover the most vulnerable sites, and meet the dedicated archaeologists and conservators locked in a desperate race against time. This is a story of profound loss, of forgotten knowledge, and a stark warning about the future we risk losing if we fail to act. The foundations of humanity's narrative are literally washing away. For millennia, the Earth has been a canvas, its surface shaped by an intricate ballet of geological forces. Mountains rose, rivers carved valleys, and winds sculpted deserts. A grand, slow dance of natural erosion. Our ancestors witnessed this relentless process, building their civilizations upon and within landscapes constantly, subtly shifting. But today, something profoundly different is unfolding. Across the globe, an accelerating force, far more aggressive than anything seen in previous millennia, is at work. This is modern erosion, a silent avalanche driven not just by nature, but by the overwhelming footprint of humanity itself. Modern erosion, in the context of our irreplaceable ancient sites, is the rapid, destructive breakdown of landforms and archaeological features, supercharged by human activities and a rapidly changing climate. Where natural weathering might chip away at a ruin over centuries, modern erosion tears through it in decades, sometimes even years. The distinction is crucial. We are not simply observing natural decay. We are accelerating it to an unprecedented and catastrophic degree. Our carbon emissions, the warming of our planet, the melting of ice caps, and the radical alteration of landscapes for agriculture and industry have turbocharged the very forces that once moved at a glacial pace. Consider the subtle but pervasive shifts. Intensified rainfalls, saturating fragile soils, leading to devastating landslides that swallow entire ancient villages, prolonged droughts baking the earth until it crumbles into dust, leaving ancient foundations exposed and vulnerable to the slightest breeze, or rising ocean temperatures fueling superstorms that smash through coastal defenses centuries old. These are not isolated incidents. They are symptoms of a global phenomenon. We've amplified the Earth's natural processes, turning them into destructive agents against the very legacies we seek to preserve. From the sun-baked mud-brick cities of Mesopotamia to the delicate cliff dwellings of the American Southwest, no site is immune. The protective layers that have shielded these treasures for thousands of years are now being stripped away, leaving them exposed, vulnerable, and rapidly fading into dust. We are witnessing an unparalleled erasure, a loss of our collective memory unfolding at an alarming, irreversible speed. But what does this mean for the physical remnants of our past? The answer lies in the specific battlegrounds, where history is literally dissolving. From the escalating, unseen force of global modern erosion, we turn our gaze to a front line where its impact is undeniably visceral: our coastlines. Here, the relentless power of the ocean, amplified by climate change, is waging a war against history, washing away invaluable archaeological sites at an alarming rate. Rising global sea levels, a direct consequence of thermal expansion and melting ice, mean that coastlines are retreating not centimeter by centimeter, but meter by meter, year after year. Ancient harbors, settlements, and ceremonial sites, once strategically positioned near the life-giving sea, are now being swallowed by its very depths or battered into oblivion by its fury. The Mediterranean, a cradle of civilization, is particularly vulnerable. Imagine the Roman villa of Sinuessa, once a luxurious retreat on Italy's Tyrrhenian coast, now an archaeological ghost town beneath the waves. Or the ancient port city of Caesarea Maritima in Israel, its Roman breakwaters and Byzantine mosaics now constantly threatened by shifting sands and increasingly powerful storm surges that erode the fragile seabed. These sites, built by empires that believed their legacies would last forever, are now succumbing to a changed sea they could never have foreseen. Beyond the well-documented rise in sea levels, we face intensified storm activity. Superstorms, fueled by warmer ocean waters, unleash unprecedented energy upon coastal defenses, natural and man-made. The ancient village of Skara Brae in Scotland's Orkney Islands, a Neolithic settlement dating back over 5,000 years, offers a haunting example. Its incredibly preserved stone houses, once nestled safely behind dunes, now stand precariously close to an encroaching, increasingly violent sea, its protective turf stripped away by relentless winter storms. Archaeologists there battle daily, reinforcing crumbling cliffs and watching as the ocean claims more of this UNESCO World Heritage Site, piece by precious piece. Changing ocean currents, subtly altered by warming waters, also play a destructive role. They scour coastlines, redrawing the very geography that once protected these sites, exposing foundations and accelerating erosion. The delicate balance between land and sea, stable for millennia, is now catastrophically disrupted. We are losing entire chapters of human history, the stories of our ancestors, their lives, their ingenuity, not to distant cataclysms, but to the slow, inexorable march of the tide. And as the sea reshapes our shores, another vital natural force is also being twisted into a tool of destruction, the lifeblood of our continents, our rivers. If the oceans are swallowing our coastal histories, then our rivers, once the arteries of civilization, are now becoming agents of ruin. For millennia, humanity has gravitated towards river valleys, the Fertile Crescent between the Tigris and Euphrates, the ancient Nile, the Indus Valley, establishing the very foundations of urban life along their banks. These waterways provided sustenance, transport, and protection. Today, however, altered river dynamics, exacerbated by climate change and human intervention, are turning these life-giving currents into destructive forces, washing away, burying, or exposing the very sites they once nurtured. Catastrophic floods are a growing menace. Intense, unpredictable rainfall events, often linked to a warming atmosphere, cause rivers to swell beyond their ancient floodplains. When these raging waters engulf archaeological sites, the damage is immediate and devastating. Fragile mud-brick structures dissolve, stone foundations are undermined, and priceless artifacts are swept away, lost forever in the churning currents. In the ancient Fertile Crescent, sites like those in the marshes of southern Iraq, where the Sumerians built their first cities, are increasingly at risk from extreme flooding events, washing away millennia of history. Conversely, prolonged droughts present an equally dire threat. As river levels plummet, exposing vast tracts of riverbed that have been submerged for centuries, new archaeological discoveries can emerge. But this brief window of revelation often precedes catastrophic decay. Once protected organic materials, like ancient wooden structures or textiles, rapidly dry out and disintegrate when exposed to air and sunlight. The subsequent wind erosion, as dried-out soils turn to dust, then begins to scour any remaining structures, effectively sandblasting the delicate surfaces of ancient buildings and monuments. Consider the recent discoveries along Europe's receding rivers, like the hunger stones in the Elbe and Rhine, revealing warnings from past droughts. While these are poignant reminders, far more fragile ancient settlements are simply disintegrating once their watery protective layer is removed. Moreover, human engineering, though sometimes intended to mitigate risk, often inadvertently exacerbates the problem. Dam construction, river channeling, and extensive irrigation systems drastically alter natural flow patterns, leading to unexpected erosion downstream or sediment buildup that suffocates buried sites. The delicate hydrological balance that ancient cultures understood and respected has been fundamentally disrupted. As rivers rage or recede, reshaping the very landscapes our ancestors built upon, the threat of wind, another fundamental element, also intensifies, turning exposed lands into realms of pure dust. From the relentless assault of water, we turn to another elemental force, one that can strip the earth bare or bury it entirely: wind. In arid and semi-arid regions, the intensified fury of the wind, coupled with the relentless march of desertification, poses an existential threat to countless ancient sites. These vast, often desolate landscapes, from the Sahara to the Gobi, the deserts of the American Southwest, to the ancient Silk Road routes, hold untold stories beneath their shifting sands. But climate change and unsustainable land management are dramatically accelerating the processes that make these stories increasingly fragile. Intensified wind erosion, driven by hotter temperatures and drier soils, means that protective layers of sand, accumulated over millennia, are now being stripped away at an unprecedented rate. This exposes delicate archaeological features, like ancient rock art, fragile adobe structures, or intricate geoglyphs, to the direct, abrasive force of sand-laden winds. It's like a never-ending natural sandblasting, slowly but surely erasing the surface details that tell us so much about our past. Sites that have survived for thousands of years, carefully preserved under a stable blanket of sand, are now being uncovered, only to face immediate, rapid decay from the elements. Conversely, expanding desertification, the process by which fertile land becomes desert, often due to climate change and human activity like deforestation and overgrazing, threatens to bury other sites even deeper, or to shroud them in an ever-shifting sea of sand dunes. While burial can sometimes preserve, uncontrolled dune migration can also crush structures, dislocate artifacts, or make future excavation impossible. Imagine the colossal Buddha statues of Bamiyan, Afghanistan, before their destruction, their intricate details eroded over centuries by wind and sand. Now think of thousands of other, lesser-known sites facing similar fates, their delicate carvings and murals slowly ground into obscurity by the very air they've breathed for millennia. The problem is exacerbated by prolonged droughts, as discussed earlier. When riverbeds dry and topsoil loses its moisture, it becomes fine powder, easily picked up by the wind, creating massive dust storms. These aren't just local phenomena. They can transport billions of tons of soil across continents, altering ecosystems, and literally burying history in their wake. The Sahara, for instance, is expanding southward by an estimated 10% per decade, pushing its vast dunes over ancient trade routes and settlements. The wind, once a sculptor of the land, has become a destroyer, turning our invaluable heritage from dust to dust. But, just as the desert pushes outwards, another hidden force, far to the north, is also letting go of its icy grip. As the wind whips across the arid lands, revealing and burying histories, a far more insidious and often unseen threat is awakening in the planet's coldest reaches. In the vast frozen expanse of polar regions and high-altitude mountains lies permafrost, ground that has remained permanently frozen for at least 2 consecutive years, often for thousands, even hundreds of thousands of years. This ancient ice has acted as the ultimate time capsule, preserving archaeological sites and organic materials in astonishing detail: wooden structures, leather artifacts, textiles, even mummified remains, all locked in a state of suspended animation. But now, with global temperatures rising at an unprecedented rate, this ancient ice is thawing, and with it, our most exquisitely preserved histories are rapidly decaying. The melting of permafrost isn't just about rising sea levels. It's about the ground beneath our feet literally dissolving. As the ice holding the soil together melts, the ground destabilizes, leading to dramatic slumping, landslides, and the collapse of entire sections of land. Archaeological sites, whether ancient hunting camps in the Alaskan Arctic or Iron Age burial mounds in the Siberian steppes, are being torn apart, their stratigraphy, the layered record of human activity, irrevocably scrambled. Imagine an ancient Inuit village on the Alaskan coast, its wooden house frames and whalebone tools, perfectly preserved for centuries in the frozen ground, now collapsing into a muddy, unstable mess as the permafrost underneath thaws and retreats. Even more critical is the destruction of organic materials. Once exposed to air, moisture, and microbial activity, these perfectly preserved artifacts rapidly decompose. A delicate leather boot from a 500-year-old Arctic burial, once pristine, can turn to dust in a matter of weeks. The window for archaeological intervention is terrifyingly small. Sites like the famous Ice Maiden of Ukok, a Pazyryk noblewoman discovered in the Altai Mountains, owed her remarkable preservation to permafrost. Many more such discoveries await in the thawing ground, but without immediate, often impossible, intervention, they will simply vanish. This is a race against time, in the most literal sense, a desperate scramble to salvage what we can before these unique archives of human adaptation to extreme environments are lost forever. The thawing permafrost doesn't just reveal the past, it threatens to erase it, a stark reminder that even in the most remote corners of our planet, the profound impact of modern climate change is leaving an indelible, destructive mark on our shared human story. While climate change acts as a primary driver, it's crucial to acknowledge that humans directly contribute to erosion in myriad other ways, often with equally devastating consequences. While climate change amplifies the natural forces of erosion, the surging tides, the raging rivers, the furious winds, and the melting permafrost, it is crucial to acknowledge that the human hand, in its direct and often thoughtless actions, also plays an enormous role in accelerating the destruction of ancient sites. Beyond the slow burn of global warming, our immediate land use decisions, our pursuit of progress, and even our desire to experience the past can strip away the protective layers of history, exposing it to rapid, devastating decay. Deforestation is a prime culprit. When vast swaths of forest are cleared, often for agriculture, logging, or urban expansion, the root systems that once held the soil in place are removed. This leaves the land bare, vulnerable to rain and wind. Heavy downpours transform into erosive torrents, washing away topsoil and exposing ancient foundations that have been protected for centuries. In regions like the Maya lowlands of Central America, deforestation for cattle ranching has led to catastrophic soil erosion, revealing and then rapidly degrading countless unexcavated Maya structures. The loss isn't just ecological, it's archaeological. Unsustainable agriculture practices further exacerbate the problem. Intensive farming, deep plowing, and the overuse of chemicals degrade soil quality, making it more susceptible to both wind and water erosion. Fields that once held rich, stable earth now become dust bowls or muddy rivers during extreme weather events, carrying away not just fertile soil but also the archaeological record embedded within it. Aggressive infrastructure development, the building of roads, dams, airports, and sprawling urban centers is another direct threat. These massive projects often cut directly through ancient landscapes, destroying sites outright or radically altering drainage patterns, inadvertently triggering erosion far from the construction zone. The construction of new roads in places like Peru, for example, can slice through ancient Nazca lines or Inca trails, leaving them exposed and vulnerable to the elements, or causing irreversible damage through heavy machinery. Finally, even uncontrolled tourism, intended to foster appreciation for ancient sites, can become a destructive force. Millions of footsteps on fragile surfaces, the removal of vegetation around ruins for better views, and unregulated development of tourist infrastructure can lead to significant localized erosion. The very act of visiting, without careful management, contributes to the decay. Our pursuit of comfort, resources, and even wonder can inadvertently lay bare the very foundations of our shared human story. These direct human impacts, often localized but collectively devastating, set the stage for understanding the sheer scale of the problem by revealing the iconic sites currently caught in this relentless tide of destruction. We've explored the unseen forces, the elemental assaults, and the direct human impacts accelerating modern erosion. Now, it's time to bear witness to the devastating consequences at some of the world's most iconic and irreplaceable ancient sites, places etched into our collective consciousness, now visibly crumbling under the relentless pressure. These aren't just abstract threats, they are tangible, agonizing losses unfolding before our eyes. Take, for instance, the legendary city of Mohenjo-Daro in Pakistan, a jewel of the ancient Indus Valley civilization, dating back to 2500 BCE. Its mud brick and baked brick structures, once thriving along the Indus River, are now actively dissolving. Extreme floods, followed by periods of intense drought, are causing the fragile brickwork to expand and contract, leading to devastating cracks and collapse. The salinity from rising groundwater, a consequence of irrigation and a changing water table, further crystallizes within the bricks, physically tearing them apart from within. We are watching a 400-500-year-old urban marvel literally turn to dust. Across the globe, in the rugged highlands of Peru, the enigmatic Nazca Lines geoglyphs etched into the desert floor between 500 BCE and 500 CE face a different, yet equally urgent threat. While once protected by the arid climate, increased rainfall and powerful winds, exacerbated by encroaching deforestation and unsustainable farming, are causing flash floods that carve destructive channels through these delicate designs. Every new torrent of water threatens to erase a condor, a spider, or a hummingbird that has defied millennia. And along the Mediterranean coast, where Roman villas once stood, the magnificent Roman mosaics of Aspendos in Turkey, part of an ancient bath complex, are being exposed to the elements due to shifting coastal sands and inadequate protection, leading to rapid decay and crumbling artwork. Even the remote Viking longhouse at Lansom Meadows, Newfoundland, the earliest known European settlement in the Americas, is vulnerable. Its turf walls, once offering perfect insulation, are now susceptible to increased coastal erosion and more intense storms, threatening to undermine the fragile archaeological features that tell the story of North America's first transatlantic journey. These sites represent humanity's unparalleled ingenuity, artistry, and resilience. Each crack, each collapsing wall, each fading line isn't just a physical decay, it's a silent scream, a fragment of our shared story disappearing forever. The visualization of this decay isn't merely academic. It's a stark reminder of the desperate race against time that archaeologists now face, forcing them to make impossible choices in the face of overwhelming odds. As we witness our iconic legacies literally dissolving before our eyes, we confront the agonizing reality faced by archaeologists and heritage conservationists globally, a desperate, often unequal, race against time. They are the frontline defenders of our past, armed with shovels and laser scanners, but constantly battling against the overwhelming forces of modern erosion. The dilemma is profound, the stakes immeasurable. Imagine an archaeologist standing before a 5,000-year-old site, knowing it will be gone in a decade due to rising waters or thawing permafrost. With limited funds, dwindling personnel, and political will often focused on immediate modern crises, they must make excruciating decisions. Which site do you prioritize? Is it the one with perfectly preserved organic remains in the Arctic, or the crumbling mud brick city in the desert? Do you invest in slow, meticulous excavation, knowing the entire site might be lost before completion? Or do you opt for rapid salvage archaeology, documenting what you can before it vanishes, even if it means sacrificing deeper insights? The practical challenges are immense. Many of the most vulnerable sites are in remote, difficult to access locations, or in politically unstable regions where fieldwork is dangerous or impossible. Even when resources are available, the scale of the threat often dwarfs any individual effort. Constructing seawalls around entire ancient cities, for instance, is often financially unfeasible and can even alter the very ecosystems that sustain these ancient cultures. The ethical considerations are equally complex. Should archaeologists focus on saving a site by moving it, effectively detaching it from its original context? Or is the truest form of preservation documentation, accepting the eventual loss but ensuring its story lives on through detailed records? This isn't just about saving stones. It's about preserving context, meaning, and the connection between humanity and its past. Yet, despite these daunting challenges, archaeologists and communities are fighting back. They are experimenting with new technologies, drone mapping, 3D modeling, remote sensing, to rapidly document and monitor sites. They are working with local communities to develop sustainable land use practices and involve them in heritage protection. But it is a struggle against a tide that is currently winning. The accelerating erosion of our ancient past is not merely an archaeological crisis, it is a global human tragedy. The loss is not just of structures and artifacts, but of the invaluable lessons they hold, the shared identity they embody, and the profound connection to the vast story of human endeavor. As these legacies vanish, so too does a piece of who we are, leaving future generations with a past increasingly erased, an understanding diminished, and a silence where history once spoke. The relentless march of modern erosion demands more than just observation. It demands immediate, decisive action. For archaeologists, this translates into a harrowing race against time. Emergency archaeology. Imagine a site, perhaps a Roman villa teetering on a rapidly eroding cliff face in Britain, or an ancient Pueblo dwelling slowly succumbing to flash floods in the American Southwest. Here, traditional archaeological timelines, painstaking years of careful planning and meticulous excavation, are a luxury no one can afford. Teams of dedicated specialists, often referred to as heritage first responders, deploy with lightning speed. Their mission: to salvage as much information as possible before a site vanishes forever. This isn't glamorous. It's a grueling, often heartbreaking endeavor. Dr. Aris Thorne, a veteran emergency archaeologist who has worked on coastal sites in the Mediterranean for decades, describes it as performing open-heart surgery on a patient already on life support. Their first step is rapid reconnaissance, often utilizing drones equipped with high-resolution cameras and LiDAR, light detection and ranging, scanners, to create immediate 3D maps of the threatened area. These digital blueprints, sometimes captured in a matter of hours, become the definitive record of a site on the brink. Following the aerial survey, ground teams move in. They employ intensive, systematic grid trenching, a method designed to cover significant ground quickly while still maintaining archaeological rigor. Every shovelful of earth, every fragile shard of pottery, every delicate bone fragment is meticulously documented, photographed, and cataloged. Time is the most precious commodity. In 2018, near Alexandria, Egypt, rising sea levels and coastal erosion threatened a Hellenistic port city. An international emergency team, working often in waist-deep water, excavated a previously unknown section of the city's harbor, recovering hundreds of artifacts and crucial architectural details within a 6-month window before the encroaching Mediterranean claimed it permanently. They don't have the luxury of slow, methodical analysis on site. The goal is data recovery, to snatch fragments of history from the jaws of destruction, bringing them back to laboratories for future study. It's a desperate gamble, but one that ensures a piece of the past, however small, survives for future generations. The sheer scale and speed of modern erosion demand more than just human grit. They demand innovation. As we've seen, emergency archaeology is a race, and like any race, having the right tools can make all the difference. Today, a new generation of cutting-edge technologies is transforming the battlefield, offering unprecedented hope in the fight to save our vanishing past. Ground-penetrating radar. GPR systems, once cumbersome and slow, are now handheld and faster, allowing archaeologists to see beneath the surface without disturbing the soil, rapidly identifying buried structures and anomalies that might otherwise be lost. Imagine mapping an entire ancient city street plan in a single day, a task that would have taken years of manual excavation a generation ago. Then there's 3D photogrammetry and laser scanning, which create incredibly detailed, millimeter-accurate digital twins of sites. These digital models aren't just pretty pictures, they are living archives, capturing every crack, every faded inscription, every structural weakness, preserving what the physical world cannot. At the rapidly eroding coastal settlement of Skara Brae in Orkney, Scotland, annual laser scans track minute changes in the sandstone walls, providing crucial data for conservationists. But the innovation doesn't stop at documentation. Advanced structural monitoring sensors, embedded into vulnerable ancient structures, can detect the slightest shifts in stability, temperature, or moisture levels, acting as early warning systems against collapse. Think of tiny accelerometers and strain gauges, whispering secrets from within the very stones of a crumbling temple, alerting conservation teams to impending danger before it's visible to the naked eye. Even artificial intelligence, AI, is entering the trenches, analyzing vast datasets from satellite imagery, historical maps, and excavation reports to predict future erosion patterns and identify previously unknown sites at risk. This predictive power allows resources to be allocated more strategically, shifting from reactive salvage to proactive protection. These aren't just gadgets. They are extensions of our senses, our memory, and our ability to safeguard legacies that would otherwise be lost to the unforgiving forces of time and accelerating change. While technology offers powerful new capabilities, the long-term survival of ancient sites hinges on something far more fundamental: people. Effective preservation isn't just about scientific prowess or digital models. It's profoundly about engaging local communities, respecting traditional knowledge, and fostering a deep, shared sense of responsibility. Without local buy-in, even the most advanced conservation efforts are often doomed to fail. Take the example of the ancient terraces of Ifugao in the Philippines, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. For generations, the indigenous Ifugao people maintained these breathtaking rice paddies, an engineering marvel carved into the mountainsides over 2,000 years ago. But modern pressures, including climate change-induced erosion and the outmigration of younger generations, threatened their delicate balance. UNESCO and local NGOs didn't just bring experts, they engaged the Ifugao elders, learning about their ancestral irrigation techniques and their profound spiritual connection to the land. By integrating traditional knowledge with modern conservation strategies, teaching younger generations ancient terrace repair methods alongside new climate-resilient farming techniques, they empowered the community to become the primary guardians of their own heritage. This wasn't about imposing solutions, but co-creating them. Across the globe, from the indigenous rangers protecting ancient rock art sites in Australia from wildfire damage, to villagers in remote Peruvian valleys actively participating in the stabilization of Inca ruins, the pattern is clear. These local custodians often possess generations of intimate understanding of their environment, knowledge that can be invaluable in understanding subtle erosion patterns or predicting localized weather impacts. By investing in local training, creating economic opportunities through sustainable tourism, and ensuring that communities feel ownership over their heritage, we move beyond short-term fixes towards enduring solutions. These community guardians are the living connection to the past, ensuring that the legacy beyond the bricks continues to be cherished, understood, and defended against the ravages of time and modern pressures. They are the grassroots movement, the true protectors of our shared human story. The erosion of ancient history is not a localized problem. It is a global crisis. The forces driving this destruction: climate change, unsustainable development, resource extraction, transcend borders, demanding a unified, coordinated international response. This isn't just about preserving a few iconic landmarks. It's about safeguarding humanity's collective memory, a responsibility that falls on us all. International organizations like UNESCO, through its World Heritage Program, and the World Monuments Fund, WMF, are at the forefront of this battle, identifying sites at risk, providing technical expertise, and galvanizing global support. Yet, their efforts are often hampered by insufficient funding and a lack of sustained political will. The UNESCO List of World Heritage in Danger, which currently includes over 50 sites from the Everglades to ancient Palmyra, is a stark reminder of the imminent threats. It serves not just as a warning, but as a plea for greater investment and collaboration. Governments, too, play a critical role. National heritage protection laws, robust environmental policies, and dedicated funding streams are essential. However, in many developing nations, the resources simply aren't available, and heritage protection often takes a backseat to more immediate economic concerns. Solving this requires innovative financial models, leveraging private sector investment, fostering sustainable tourism initiatives that reinvest profits into conservation, and developing international grant programs specifically targeting at-risk heritage. It demands greater diplomatic efforts to mediate conflicts that endanger sites, and stronger international conventions that hold nations accountable for their heritage stewardship. In 2021, a coalition of European and North American institutions launched a multi-million-dollar fund dedicated to climate-resilient heritage conservation, a promising step, but a drop in the ocean compared to the scale of the threat. Our shared human story is an asset that belongs to everyone, yet its protection often falls to a heroic few. It is time for a global reckoning, for nations to recognize that investing in our past is not merely an expense, but an investment in our shared future, in our identity, and in the very fabric of human civilization. The future of our past hangs in the balance, and our collective will is its last, best hope. As we journey through the dramatic front lines of archaeology, witness the marvels of new technology, and grasp the vital importance of community and global cooperation, one profound question remains: what truly is at stake? When an ancient site crumbles into dust, when its stories are washed away by a rising tide, what is it that we lose forever? It's far more than just bricks and mortar or beautiful artifacts. Each vanishing site is a chapter ripped from humanity's autobiography. We lose irreplaceable data, clues about ancient climates, agricultural practices, social structures, technological innovations, and belief systems that shaped our world. Consider the insights we gain from understanding how past civilizations adapted to environmental shifts. Losing these records severs our connection to a vital historical playbook for resilience. The loss is not just scientific, it's deeply human. We lose untold narratives, the voices of our ancestors silenced before we ever had a chance to hear them. The wisdom, the struggles, the triumphs of countless generations vanish with every collapsing wall or eroded coastline. This erosion of ancient history is an erosion of human identity itself. Our past is not merely a collection of dusty relics. It is the foundation upon which our present is built, and from which our future will grow. To lose it is to lose a piece of who we are, to sever our connection to the long, unbroken chain of human experience. Without these tangible links, our understanding of where we come from becomes fragmented, our sense of belonging diminished. Future generations will inherit a world with fewer stories, less context, and a diminished sense of their own origins. The permanent disappearance of these sites means that the questions we haven't even thought to ask yet will remain forever unanswered. It is a loss that echoes through time, diminishing the richness of human culture and knowledge for all eternity. The battle against vanishing legacies is not just for the past, but for the soul of humanity itself. The sands of time, once a metaphor for slow, inevitable change, now churn with an alarming urgency. We've journeyed across continents, witnessed the devastating impact of modern erosion, and understood the profound truth: When an ancient site vanishes, it's not just stone that's lost, but the irreplaceable wisdom, artistry, and identity of generations. The cumulative forces of climate change, pollution, urbanization, and even the sheer weight of our modern presence are swiftly dismantling the intricate tapestry of human history. Yet amidst this daunting challenge, there is profound hope. We've seen the extraordinary dedication of archaeologists, conservators, and local communities, often working with limited resources against overwhelming odds to record, protect, and preserve. New technologies, from laser scanning and drone mapping to advanced material science, are offering unprecedented tools in this urgent race. But technology alone is not enough. This isn't merely about saving monuments. It's about safeguarding our collective memory, understanding who we are, and inspiring future generations. It requires global cooperation, sustainable practices, and individual awareness. Let this be a powerful call to action, to recognize the profound value of our shared past, to support those on the front lines of preservation, and to advocate for a future where the stories of our ancestors are not whispered into the dust, but amplified and cherished, a legacy for all humanity to learn from and build upon.